mal klubog le ungil tutau. Happy Valentine's Week le wargalo mese orang sertiar el al tutau. Kadamre ngasule la spider el al tutau. Ngoradir gamitu gara radio tir hopefully mo sa ling galobangget makong sab el disseminate ya tial malungil aisel mergi de rogur el al tutau. El al tutau kadamre ngasule la National Development Bank of Palau, NDBP. El manager, presidente, CEO, el niya David Proctor, ang artial el altuta, lobangela tara, ang algel belal, Meleana Ngirmeriil, el artial OI sergida, ise lahmal primary focus sergida, tokora Saudi loan. This was the low iselwa singal Proctor, makatotal international banker, el mlamo okode maei merak, el laudio ratokora banga. Ngang experience atokora development ma atokora amagitra developing. Ede kan laudio ra 65 el bek padengel labalu ra al selak langarangi Asia, Africa, Middle East, Europe, ma baby rablu ramrigel. Engang amla ngara leadership role el CEO. Uluders el Bank of America nga Thailand, various senior positions nga Standard Chartered Bank, including ra CEO ra Europe ma Dubai. Direct la chairman is el Bank 1 in Mauritius. Direct el al-time sera 2023 ngulungul mo loader ra banga. Katamdeng el rogul wasenga seral dirgul mo diga halbol tarak. Ya Dr. Yorgi del ngil at ngakal surang Whips Jr. amle introduce tel tora Saudi loan manglek me deleru rak madarngel lagat merenga sule la olbi lel finance ra December ang losab il mga both houses magityal el bangarngi el altutaw ngi manggal tarangal gel belaw lo rabang kami ay sergi da isela at tokora at tiagi del loan. Engang el loader tial bangeng mal focus rat tokora economic development ma angat tial direct kakotel support at tokora infrastructure morarogul kombali el sorin mong matirgel guk sori lomu la business ertit mal ngarsel support tarngal gel belal sorin mo mala alone. Direct el mal gadomeser ngil mal active ni mar adara NDBP ratokora community engagement. Makmal ngatyang yemereng asuli lulkuklo sa mer el altutaw obangeder el altutaw mak. Good morning, Mr. Proctor. Ngitutaw Miss Ngirmeriil. And I'll give it to you to do your opening and then we can start.
Thank you. Well, good morning, everybody. And thank you very much for having us here today. It's something that I think is very important for bankers to reach out to the community. We're just regular people, just like everybody else. So instead of hiding behind our four walls at the bank, it's always important to talk to people and explain what we're doing. And especially the Saudi loan has been a long time coming. It's very important for the country. So thank you for giving us the opportunity to talk about it today. And Meleana's here with me. I apologize to everybody watching and listening for my English. Hopefully Meleana can help me translate what I say into the true Palauan language.
Good. So thank you for being with us this morning. And if I may, so if you can share with us what is the Saudi loan and what is the structure and the loan terms.
The Saudi loan is it's a borrowing by the Republic of Palau for $15 million from an entity called the Saudi Fund for Development. And this loan is repayable over 20 years, which is a long time. And the country pays 2.5% on any amount that's outstanding on the loan. So on a relative basis, this is a very attractive terms for the country.
So tell Saudi loan tiang loan ra belur belau ngul sanga NDBP tol to badaringil malungil tiang 20 years aklam hotel dong kadaringi rakal dong kadaringi ngariwa olangil oy.
And I think what I should say from the very beginning is this loan has involved a lot of people over a long time. So on behalf of the bank, I'd just like to say thank you to everybody that's been involved in this process, from the President's Office, the Ministry of Finance, the House of Delegates, the Senate, and of course the team at NDBP. These things may sound very simple to do, but it takes a lot of time and a lot of hard work, and I really appreciate all the work that's been done.
So if you can share with us, why is Palau borrowing from Saudi loan, from Saudi Arabia?
I think my perspective is as a banker. I'm not a politician, and it's for Palauans to decide their international relations. But from a banker, the Saudi Fund for Development is one of the largest development funds in the world. I think they have now financed more than 800 developments in more than 100 countries, with a total financing of about $20 billion. So this is not just a small fund that nobody has heard about. This fund works with the World Bank, the World Health Organization, the United Nations Development Program, with JICA, the Japanese entity that we know well here in Palau. And they've done a lot of good work, ranging from building medical centers in Africa. They work on dams, they work on energy facilities, and their role is to provide cheap finance for infrastructure needs in the developing world. Now, I think this is the first time that they've worked with Palau. And I think that for Palauans, you should be very proud. Because Palau, the small nation in the middle of the Pacific, a long, long way away from the Middle East, but it shows that the global recognition of Palau is increasing. And the fact that Saudi has chosen Palau to be this first loan, I think is really encouraging. And as long as we manage this well and we invest it properly and we don't waste the funds, then I'm sure that this is the start of a long-term relationship. And if Palau chooses to, then a Saudi fund would be willing to provide more financing going forward.
Briefly.
Sorry, that was a long answer.
Yeah, actually, I believe our listeners can understand. But akong da se Meleana, the more important, like the interest rate, when, and I gave that by sab ML lungit smart, matigil ko interested, asab ML ko oy din mo to korbela mo.
Right. So tell ngarawul mo kada malartel loan ra Saudi Arabia. Kagitanggal si almost modila se tianga koltangal baskitanya swar other belao and titilka nga patokal bulua blalol nga sertir lol nga sewa tokora guru loma tokora infrastructure rabalu malungil mong sabi evel ngutal te al kut makril morsel teletele lelgitam le agrilo banteri من سبق لنا مثلا التايم الموت السوق من دير قسوة ده الموت للنيت ده مت مع الغين السيرة تغير فاينانسينج تعمل الجغرية repayment تريني كما تا الرجال ظهر ريني so that تنسب إذا المولا تغير infrastructure السلام الواد.
So will the loan proceeds be used to repay other borrowings by Republic of Palau?
No, it's one of the criteria for the Saudi fund is that the money must be used to invest in infrastructure in Palau. They don't want this loan to simply repay other debt. And in fact, during the discussions over the last 2 years, it's become very clear that the number one priority for infrastructure investment at the moment in Palau is housing, making more, especially affordable housing available. And so the intent from the bank is to really prioritized that as a use of funds for the 15 million.
Okay, so although the veral several sparing il mangada baby rabal sila balur bela we ma veral several ku kolabal el pay down or pay off existing el bills. Amal mukti karingi ado bal mangat mokar seldo mukado karingi la sengora klo al bul ringi rabalur el angal tokor ablay. Sige dia agora target trabangal mo malasa malol tau teringi mengkodogut mokla ablay el mo superior avel el mokkerengi.
Are all the loan proceeds going to National Development Bank?
Good question. So the structure of the loan is a structure that we've used before on other loans. So the loan from Saudi comes to the Republic of Palau, and then there's a separate loan from the Ministry of Finance to NDBP on exactly the same terms. But the answer to the question is yes. All of the $15 million routes through ROP and then comes to NDBP.
So have you received the funding yet?
Unfortunately not. Signing ceremony is scheduled for the 6th of April. So I know we've had some excited interest from the community already asking if we can make these funds available. Unfortunately, we can't yet because we haven't received the money. But for sure, the team are going to be working very busy after the 6th of April.
So ludo da dira kal ilbeabang tel kal ludo da lameng melmora amt ora amt otabdin ngul maskamam tel rogil al kal 15 million. Din dira kal lamay girel mera assigning era agreement April 6 al
So will the NDBP use the proceeds to cut borrowing cost?
That's a super question. Thank you for asking that. If I may, I'd like to spend some time explaining. The short answer is no, but it doesn't mean that NDBP is going to stop cutting rates, which sounds very confusing. But let me explain. I've been in Palau for 2.5 years. And over the last 2 years, the bank has been going through a program of cutting rates across all of its products. So one of the things I noticed when I first came to Palau, that the interest rates that we were charging on loans was relatively high. So we've cut rates on residential mortgages, home equity loans, commercial real estate mortgages. In January, we cut our business loan rates. But we're not satisfied yet. So we still want to keep on cutting rates. I think it's very important. I think everybody globally is suffering from inflation. When we go to the grocery store, we can see the costs increasing, the same with construction costs. So the more that this bank can do to reduce the borrowing cost, the more it just helps everybody with the dollars in their wallet. And those are not just fine, nice words. We're working on a specific product at the moment, which will reduce rates still further. I don't know exactly when we'll be able to launch it, but we do intend to keep reducing rates. The one thing that is my responsibility and the team at the bank is to make sure that this bank is Palau's bank. It's not my bank. It's your bank.
Yeah.
And it's funded by taxpayers' money. So we have to find the right balance. We have to protect that taxpayers' money. We can't generate a loss that will be a burden on the budget. But at the same time, we're not like commercial banks. We're not like the private sector banks. We're not here to maximize profit. We're here to support Palau and the development of the nation. So we have to find the right balance in interest rates so we don't make a loss, but we're not trying to make a big profit.
So tel kadi me chana ko lagay la sa tel ludo dala marmanging amoryo rate na igal ludo da igal loan el mutuo bada. So akada balense ng karupa kasi indiak el altaming kada gigura dir ko me se msu batetela la igal bekta la interest rate rabang ke dir ka oyeng la kata interest rate legal existing el products el asal gimuta ludo del continue arior en ngome seringi melmol me dir ka swala lo repta interest rate raro kul product rabanga.
But now I need to explain why the answer to the question was no. Because even though we've been reducing interest rates, the way I view things is there are different segments in the Palau society, and the bank has an obligation to meet the needs of all segments, not just one particular segment. So when we reduce interest rates, that helps one segment in society, the people who already have a home, already have a mortgage, or the people who have access to land and can afford to build with the construction costs today. But that's not everybody in Palau. And even if our loan rates were 0%, it doesn't help the people who, let's say, are living in a converted shed on family land and they can't find access to land to build their own property. Or even if they can access land, they can't afford a detached home, $120,000, $140,000 home. And then there's the youth of Palau. When they finish at PCC, can they afford to buy a $120,000 home? No. And then there's the people who are being displaced because of inundation. There's an obligation on the bank to meet those needs. And that's why the priority use for this Saudi money is not to suddenly offer a 2.5% mortgage rate. What we'll be doing is really addressing the need of lack of housing. I'll explain how we do that after Meleana's had a chance to translate.
Mela kola din mo tel mo baka taklir mura makmung takal sabelang galon alamel kimol to badaringil sa ikidal 2.5%. Lela tel sel domesra apelwadeng tablol takoya alol ngosong saringi al sugum kada kikaringi interest rate takaduk tingo sutrir tirigel already to blay o utam el blatak laba bilingal atamir tirigel rukke utam rakabli lama tirigel mle displaced te diaga atamir tirigel youth el dirigam lombre gal ngara school or dirigul mo loriore sorry el mo iliak le diaga clear tirigel dia adiaga ngesul mortir mabang kasual el mo o mitay kay gidaro ko el segment ra telbulu so te gidak mosmodi el magataklilo asanguk magara nga gimit at tirigel kaya or diaga atamir kaya utam rakabli tirigel dirigam lombre gal loriore sorry lo siga dalong oklang. School most of best.
So let me explain what our plan is. After I began to get to know Palau, I recognized that most of the land is owned by public state land authorities. But those authorities don't have access to money to develop the land. And on the other hand, we have NDBP, which now has access to money, but we don't have land. So it just seemed sensible for the two sides to come together and partner and make what we call a joint venture, where the land authority provides the land and the development bank provides the money. And we create an entity which essentially becomes a property developer. I've noticed that private developers struggle especially to afford infrastructure costs, maybe the road connection or the sanitation or the water and utilities. Well, the development bank can use this Saudi money to develop the land that needs to be developed that's owned by the state land authorities. So our plan is to work with as many state land authorities as we can. Once they identify a suitable site, we will create a joint venture, a partnership. That entity, using the Saudi money, will do all of the infrastructure work on the site, will develop the housing on the site, which may be standalone homes, it may be condominiums, depending on the site, and then sell those units, that housing, but only to Palauans. And we will sell it using a mortgage from NDBP. Now, the reason this is important is the land authorities can provide the land at a very cheap rate. They already own the land. And because NDBP has this cheap money from Saudi, we can make a very cheap loan to do the infrastructure financing. So the benefit of the cheap rate goes into the cost of the house that is sold. My aim is to try to offer, let's say, studio apartments, 1-bed, 2-bed apartments, but at a price that's significantly lower than a typical house in Palau today. I think that arrangement will help the second group of people, and that's the important priority for us now.
بالتالي السعودي فاندر سر المي abang ako ulam sering ila sa al makarang apolongot mo kartirigay gid second group dia ka atamir blata kalba belinga atamir or tamle displaced so toko ulam sering iyo sa igal state tamal botoka atamel and then dia ka udir el kutmok lay gay gid elabang galung gay gid el ngario rating el loan ra Saudi enguk ngay ududal and then dia ka utom. So tomleada do tirma bebira state gore lata lamot magalorio mo ngat mok lagi dal the joint venture tanamot magemot mokra togora housing ela te the ludo da mo ngat mok legal togora infrastructure utilities ma develop rangal property la state and then mo sa evel magadora apartment or condominium malubing igay del stand alone el blay ngario although del momot mokla ngario ratingi mensera del gut makliaw ngil blay yar ava mi apply loan re NDBP mortgage loan lom ar ngario da dung mal mering la aral way al time dom arang ra 2 bedroom el blay kada mga adura almost 100,000. So iga nga sabi da lomas lasing amot talagi pul ngario aral ray gigit.
So can we say that you're working with the state governors and PPUC and PNCC to plan like a housing area?
Yeah, so there's been work done already across Palau on land management or zoning, trying to identify what are suitable areas for residential property, industrial property, or whatever it may be. So that's the first step. The second step now is we've started discussions with one particular state that we will use as a pilot program. They've identified a suitable area for this housing, and it will be a good test to just prove that this is not just words, that this actually can be completed and done on time.
I hope it's IRI state because I heard the government mentioned that he wants to do like a housing development below PMA area in IRI. So I think that would be a perfect place because, after Koror, it's IRI. And he seems to be very active, so yeah.
I think that that particular site would be an ideal site. Obviously, Arai has a pending election coming, so I won't interfere with the election.
I forgot about that election.
So I will leave it to the people in Arai to decide.
I'm sure whoever wins, I think because a lot of people, they know that it's a need, and everybody's just been talking about housing.
I think, the census data that I looked at said that Koror has 64% of all homes across all 16 states, which shows just how crowded Koror has become. And Arai obviously has land, is close to Koror, is close to the airport. So Arai would be a good location, but there's many other
There's Meleana
states.
where the capital is.
Meleana, and but even up in the north as well, Narad. So there's lots of other states that I'm sure I'd be very interested to talk to them about. We won't be able to do all the states all at the same time, so we have to choose one and work with one just to prove the concept. But if you remember, I said before that Saudi want to see that we execute properly. If we execute the first one well, then we should be able to receive more funds.
But I think, as you mentioned, CEO, it would actually be good to just concentrate on one area as a pilot project. And as the Saudi Arabia people want to see that we're actually putting the funds where it's, on development. And, and like, as you mentioned, if this pulls through and we're still interested, we can go on the second phase, which is probably more than this 15 million. Yeah.
Exactly. And people have asked me, what about all the other needs for Palau? They say, Palau needs to build high-end housing for foreigners and tourists, or they need to build housing for U.S. military. Well, I've got nothing against foreigners and U.S. military, but I do want to make sure this $15 million is just used for affordable housing for Palauans, and importantly for owner-occupiers. It would be a shame to see big landlords take ownership of a lot of these properties and rent them out. That's not the intent. It's to make sure that people who desperately in need of a home have a chance to buy their own home.
So can we say that if the project proceeds, this pilot project, and of course priority are Palauans, will there be a language in the contract or agreement to make sure that it won't be rented out to other people, but we expect actually Palauans to be living in these homes? Or sold to,
That's where I think from the bank perspective, we need to respect the desires of each land authority. They may have different needs. But I think the bank's role is to provide the finance. The land authorities are the ones that need to make the decisions for the people living in that state. But certainly that's the intent. One thing I should explain is once the bank has provided all of this financing, we've built the developments, we've provided the mortgages. Once we've completed all of that, the bank will step away. So we don't intend to continue a part ownership. No, we need to step away and let the land authorities then manage that development, because it's for the state. We're doing this for the state. This is not about the bank. One other concept that I think is important that I've noticed is Palauans have this strong sense of communities. So whatever we build, it can't become the slums of the future.
Yes.
So we have to build it in a way that creates a community feel. Maybe there's a social barbecue area or a kid's playground or a laundrette or a convenience store. Something
to entertain walkers.
Something that makes whoever lives in that area, they feel part of that community and connected. So we have a long wish list. I hope that we'll be able to achieve our ambitions. I'm sure we'll make many mistakes along the way.
No, I believe it's doable. I know it can be done. We think it's big, but you know, I can even imagine it like a bike, a driveway and a sidewalk where people can walk, and a community center with a playground and a swimming pool, kind of like a housing development in the U.S. that I've been to. And I think we need to focus more something in that's unified, and, you know, I think it's perfect. I think PMA or Oigul, since they fixed the road, I think it'll be perfect, you know, as a pilot project. And hopefully in the future, if we can extend and get another loan and refinance and get more, I think this will be perfect. So you mentioned that the loan will help with the development of the site.
Yes.
Even the power poles and the lines, everything. The water bank.
Everything. So as I mentioned before, private developers, they can afford to build homes, but often they can't afford the connection costs, the road, the sanitation. And actually, the sanitation costs can be quite high. So that's why it's so important for the development bank to step in and fill that gap. So this financing is not just about whatever we build, it's about putting in place proper infrastructure and sanitation, water, electricity supply, so that it's sustainable.
Does the bank have someone that you have hired to help with the state develop this design?
So the plan is, we're a state-owned entity, so we have to follow the procurement law. This isn't about just choosing who we know and favorites. So we'll be issuing something called an RFP, a request for proposals. So it will be a public announcement asking for people to tender, to provide services, to do the site plan, to do architectural designs, engineering drawings, and separately to actually construct whatever it is that is chosen for the design. So this will be an extended process. I mean, I think for some of the big sites, just the infrastructure alone can take 18 months to put in place. So I don't want to inflate expectations. I don't want people to think that by the end of the year we'll have a house available for sale. If we're going to do this, we need to do it properly and for the long term. So let's put in, let's make sure we have the EQPB certificates, make sure we protect the environment. We want to put solar panels there so that we give people access for renewable energy. Water tanks so that we collect water off the roof. So it's a package, and we need to bring together everybody's expertise to make sure whatever we construct that Palau can feel proud of.
I think right after our talk show, you'll be getting a lot of calls from the governors.
I'll be very happy to talk to them.
But, so let me...
Just one thing to clarify, if I may. The important factor for me is affordability. So we need to be realistic. So a little example, probably we'll build something that has provision for air conditioning, but it doesn't have air conditioning installed. The buyer can choose to install their air conditioning if they want to, but it's just an example of how we can try to keep the cost down and affordable. So I don't want people to imagine it will be a glorious mansion. It will be functional, let me put it that way. But there is no point in constructing something that's very expensive that people can't afford.
Yes.
We'll have missed our objective. It has to be affordable.
Maybe similar to the houses in Palau.
Well, Casa Palau was built many years ago, and I think...
when it was only 50,000, now it's, or 30, now it's just...
Yes, the prices are radically different. But I think it's a good... it's good to look at lessons learned from Casa Palau, the things that worked well, and maybe some things that we can learn some lessons from and try to do
Like the road.
do differently. Everybody will have their view.
And then you have to pay, like, if you want power. I remember when I built the home, I had to pay the power lines. It was almost $4,000. So, for you folks to actually to provide that would really take a big chunk of money, and they can invest it in their home.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now, if we're providing the entire facility, you have economies of scale, we call it. It's cheaper if you do everything at the same time instead of individuals doing one by one.
Oh, that's good. Okay. Has NDBP suspended the home equity loan program while the OEK reviewed the Saudi loan, but it has passed? So
Yeah, so we did. So let me just explain what is the home equity loan program. We introduced the home equity loan program perhaps 18 months ago. What we noticed is that, of course, people are always short for cash. But Palauans are living in houses, bricks, concrete, tin roof, that has value. You just can't spend it at the grocery store. So we make a loan available. Let's say somebody has a $50,000 mortgage, but their property is valued at $100,000. Then we will allow people to borrow up to 80% of the value of their property, less the mortgage. So in that case, they would have up to $30,000 that they could borrow, as long as they can afford the loan. We're not trying to entice people into financial difficulties. But the important thing about the loan is it's a 10-year loan, and it can be used for any purpose. So we've seen people use the loan for renovating their home, fixing a leak in the roof, for example. But we've also seen people using this loan to consolidate expensive debt, to pay for medical referral fees, to pay off scholarships. And that's the idea of the loan. For the bank, that bankers shouldn't tell borrowers how to spend their money. It's their money. So, and people in life always face different challenges, and it's for them to try to manage those challenges. It's our role to try and support them. So we launched this product, and it was very successful. But unfortunately, because the Saudi loan took a long time to finalize, we had to suspend it. We just didn't have enough cash to be able to continue making all of these loans. What we're doing now is we have a backlog of applicants, and Meleana and her team are working very hard to go one by one, first come, first served through that waiting list. As we go through that waiting list, then we'll start accepting new applications. So a long answer, but really what I'm saying is yes, we're relaunching the home equity loans. And this is probably another thing that I could have a conversation with governors about, because when the bank takes a mortgage on state-leased property, we always need consent from the land authority to take that mortgage. So certain states allow us to do home equity loans, but some states don't. So NARAD allow us to do it, RI allow us to do it, and NARAD.
Iwal and your...
No. So,
in Koror, no?
So Koror, in fairness to Koror, I think KSPLA are, as we speak, discussing whether to allow NDBP to take home equity loans. We won't presume what their decision will be. I hope that they will allow us to provide home equity loans. Yes, I think because so many homes are in Koror, it would really help the economy, I think. But as I say, I don't want to presume KSPLA. decision.
Does the bank have any plans on launching new personal products and business products?
So on the personal side, I mentioned before, we're working on a new product. This new product is going to try to incentivize using the right kind of building materials to protect the environment. So things like water tanks, installation of solar panels on homes. We call it a green mortgage. And we're still working on the details, but the idea is to offer a discounted rate and better terms if people are using the right kind of building materials to save the planet. So hopefully we can announce more details later in the year. And on the business side, we've, as I mentioned before, we cut our business rates in January. We've also capped our rates for agriculture, aquaculture, and fishing loans, because I think it's important to try to protect what we call national food security. Palau imports a lot of food. The less food we import, the more self-sufficient we are. So we've capped our borrowing rates at 5% for loans in those sectors, which is a very attractive rate. And we're also just launching a new product, which is solar loans for businesses and commercial entities. And that's at a 5.5% rate. So again, the idea is we have the solar farm, which is operating and is installing some batteries, so it will make the system much smoother. And that allows us to put solar panels onto businesses now. We've been running a successful program for houses. Now we're extending it to businesses. So if there's any businesses out there that would like to cut their electricity costs, do come and talk to Meleana and the team, because they have a very good product that they'll be interested in. A lady called Edangle Redang, who heads the commercial department, is the expert on this.
Awesome. CEO, is the loan denominated in Saudi currency? And will it affect the NDP planning to manage because of the exchange rate? Will it affect the Palauan borrowers?
Oh my! Now we're getting into some technical details, Jennifer. So it's early in the morning. I don't want to confuse people with lots of technical banking terms, but let me try and keep it simple. So yes, Saudi Riyal is a different currency to US dollars, but for the last 30 years, there's been what we call a fixed exchange rate. So if you want to convert dollars into Riyal or Riyal into dollars, you know exactly how many you're going to receive. Now, things can change in the future, but I'd be very surprised if something has been that way for 30 years. When you have such huge countries as Saudi and the US, I'd be very surprised if that were to change. But yes, the loan is from Saudi to the Republic in Riyal. But the Republic will be receiving dollars. So the Saudis will convert the Riyal and send dollars to Palau. And that means that the loan from Ministry of Finance to NDBP is in dollars. So it means that I don't have to lose any more hair worrying about foreign exchange rate changes. It means that for NDBP, we just repay dollars to Ministry of Finance, and the Republic of Palau and Saudi can handle the exchange rate between Saudi Riyal and dollars.
I listened to the oversight hearing with you at the OEK, at the satellite office. So I just wanted if you can share a bit on a lot of the banks here, most of the money are being deposited from us locals, but majority of the money is being loaned outside rather than inside. If you can share on that, so those who didn't listen, I think that was a very interesting point that you made.
It's something that is very close to my heart, because I've been fortunate to live and work in many countries, and I've seen it from both sides. So I've been a banker for an American bank in a foreign country, like Bank of Guam, Bank of Hawaii, Bank Pacific here. So I understand it from their perspective. But now I'm on the other side of the fence. I'm looking at it from the Palau side. So let's just talk about the current position in Palau. The three American banks, they benefit from something called FDIC insurance, which means that depositors know that if they deposit up to $250,000 in those banks, for sure their money is safe. I mean, we know what happened with Palau Savings Bank here back in the day, so we don't want a repeat of that. So because of that, Palauans have put, at the moment, the most recent number I saw was a total of $378 million of Palauan money is sitting with the three American banks in Palau. Now, ideally, the way a banking system normally works is that those banks use those deposits to make loans to the local community. But Palau has some unique regulations and laws that make it hard for those banks to lend. So actually what they do with the money is they send it to their head offices in Guam and Hawaii, and the money is used to provide mortgages and business loans in Guam and Hawaii. So out of that $378 million, only $28 million is actually recycled back into the domestic economy. So you're talking $350 million, roughly, of Palauan money that is actually helping develop Hawaii and Guam. And here we are borrowing from Saudi in order to build affordable housing. And when you look at it just in simple terms like that, you think, that doesn't look right. That doesn't look right. So that's why I wanted to just raise people's awareness that this is the situation. Everybody is doing a logical thing. It's logical for Palauans to deposit money in the banks. It's logical for those banks not to lend it in Palau. It's too risky for them. So it's logical for them to send it offshore. But now we need to break that cycle. And there's a variety of legislative proposals that would encourage those banks to recycle the money back into Palau. But there's an onus. Palau itself needs to move forward in the times in some of its regulations and legislation to encourage those American banks to relend the money here.
Wow. Yeah, when I heard you mention that, I had to listen to replay that 2 or 3 times. I'm like, now I'm going to give you a name, a Palauan name.
Oh.
Ngirmeriil.
What does it...
Mr. Trustman.
I see. Okay.
Ngirmeriil. So, alisal mesanggang ang kamo, Ngirmeriil angklen. Or Ngirmeriil. Ngirmeriil. Mr. Truth. That will be your name. When I heard you, I said, man, not comparing to the past CEO or the president of the bank, but I can sense your heart is with the people of Palau. You're really looking out for the best interest of the Palauan people. And I want to thank you for that, because you also see the way our community is, that we always lend money through funerals, all kinds of customary traditions. And I want to thank you that you see that and you're really trying to find ways to lower the rates and to help the Palau people have more money in their pockets to continue doing their obligations, whether it's for their kids, their family, their clan. And so I really want to take this opportunity and thank the board who appointed you to be the president and CEO. I think for someone who's been here since 2023, you have done so much within such a short time. And I'm glad to see our president putting you to lots of work.
Well, those are very kind words. Thank you. But, you know, this is not about one person. That one person can't do all of this. This is about teamwork, which I mentioned at the beginning. You mentioned the board. The board have been extremely helpful and supportive. We have a recently appointed chairman, Reinhard Silas, who took over from our longtime chairman, Dorotheo Nagata. Dorotheo is still with us on the board to add his expertise.
I like him, Dorothy.
So, you know, just want to add my appreciation to the board, and certainly to the team at NDBP. I'm sure behind my back they probably whisper nasty things about me, about all the hard work that we're doing. But genuinely, we're human, we make mistakes, but the team are trying their very best to do the right thing for the customers. And certainly, as I said before, the OEK, the House of Delegates, the Senate, the President's Office, the Ministry of Finance, we know that there is still a long way to go. But it's about trying to show that we're taking the right path and we're making progress. If we can show people our intent and then make the step, then we've done our job. So words are nice, but execution is more important.
Yeah, and it takes a good leader to lead its people. But you do have a great team. I've been to the bank and they're very friendly.
Good.
And you don't, I think they have one of the best customer service, yes.
Oh, thank you.
Not like some places you walk to and you, ngarang.
Well,
They smile and yeah, like Meleana smile. They always smile and say, "Oh, how can we help you?" So yeah, thanks to you and your team, and of course the board. Dorot Nagata is the chairman. He's very active, and I know during his when he was the chairman, he has helped a lot of people start with their business. So I applaud Dorot, and you know when he used to be chairman of the board, and sometimes we do call him, and he really goes out of his way to help. So yes, I'm glad that he's still on the board.
For sure,
Yes,
for sure.
Yes. And then my last question before we wrap up, we have 5 more minutes. Will the Saudi loan, will its priority be just housing will be the priority, or does it have any, does the bank have any interest in agriculture and aquaculture?
During the course of the discussions with the Saudis, I'd asked that we could make use of this money also to support local businesses and entrepreneurs. And the Saudis were willing to do that. But I think the Senate especially were very keen for the money to be prioritized for housing. And so clearly I'll follow the guidance from the OEK, and we will prioritize housing. It doesn't mean that we're not going to continue supporting businesses. As I mentioned, we have some new products coming. But the priority, the number one priority, is to develop affordable housing using this Saudi money. Entirely separately, we'll continue to look to reduce interest rates. I won't forget about that. But as I said at the beginning, I see 2 segments in society. Some people need a lower interest rate on their existing borrowings. Yes. Some people need access to land and availability of homes. The Development Bank has a responsibility to both segments. I've been helping one segment so far. It's time to step in and help the other segment now.
Will it be anytime soon you'll be collecting deposits?
So that's I have a long to-do list. So I would very much like the bank to be licensed by FIC. It's very important to show the world and Palau that the development bank is being run professionally to international banking standards. And that's what the role of the independent regulator is. So yes, we will be reapplying to the FIC. In fact, I have regular meetings with the FIC commissioner. We will be reapplying for a license, and I hope that in the near or medium term, that FIC will be able to award us a license, and at that point we will start accepting deposits. And especially, I think, for deposits from public sector entities, the state governments, state-owned enterprises, even the national government, they would place deposits with NDBP.
And I just want to make sure, because in the past, when the bank first opened, and I was still kind of a little bit young then, you know, in Palau, such a small island, there's always who's who and who you know and who are you connected with. And some of the people feel like they submit their applications and they don't get approved because it's who you know, and sometimes people come in late and then they just come in the front line. If you can share with that on, as you mentioned, we have to be professional. If you can share with our listeners that the Saudi loan, when we do get it and the housing project starts, how can we better serve the people fairly and equally?
So I think in small communities across the world, I've seen this before, where there's favoritism, where bankers choose their friends to get the benefits of loans. That's something I don't tolerate. That's just not acceptable. So with the Saudi loan, we will have to have a priority in the sense that we'll have to choose one state to do the pilot program. That doesn't mean that we'll forget the other states. We just need to prove the concept. But then, yes, we'll go to the other states. And in terms of the applicants, it will just be based on, can they afford the loan? We don't, a lot of people, banking is very technical. A lot of people struggle to understand finance. So we have a responsibility to make sure they don't overstretch. So sometimes we do upset people by saying, no, we can't approve this loan because we're worried that you won't be able to afford it. And even though it might feel good now to get a loan, it will be very uncomfortable if you can't afford the loan. So it's better to be truthful and honest with people and protect them rather than encourage them into bad debt. So no, we don't favor people. If I hear about anybody favoring people, then action is taken. But in fairness to the team, they're very experienced now, and they understand the standards that are expected. So I would hope that people recognize we try to do the right thing. We make mistakes, but we always try to do the right thing.
Will the new development, can we say that will the bank look into more smart home designs because of modern technology and renewable energy friendly?
Certainly something that is climate friendly, whether it be water management or electricity management, those are key features. The same with the water treatment, the sanitation. It has to be a modern system, so we're not putting waste back into the earth or the creeks. In terms of smart for high-tech homes, I think for affordable housing we won't be making them high-tech, but I do think Palau has an opportunity with proper land management to develop more attractive areas, both for Palauans as well as visitors. And over time, yes, I can see a lot of opportunities, but done in a Palauan way. We have to keep the Palauan culture.
Yes.
But at the same time, we have to move forward with the times. But it will be Palauan people that decide, not me. I just provide the finances. This country is for Palauans,
And the
so
expertise.
Palauans will choose.
No, thank you so much. If you can share who's the board members now.
Surely. So Reinhard, as I mentioned, is chair.
Oh, he's the new chairman.
Dorotheo is still on the board. Our vice chair is Evadil. And we have Ralph Moses from Blue Bay, who's been on the board for a long time. We have Lina Thomas from the climate team in the president's office. We have Joe Tuti Chilton, who used to be on the board at FIC. And have I missed anybody?
Oh, it's good. You have Joe who used to be on the FIC, so he can coordinate with FIC. And make sure you guys get that deposit.
Well, we hope we can do a handshake with FIC and meet their standards. Again, we're not trying to get favoritism. We have to do things the right way.
Yes.
But I hope that we'll be able to get there.
Well, thank you so much. Mal masaw langkal Meleana mal mudira ka aling kamle General Clerk ang consumer loan mal sugom ko uspe alon al ubong ngidil nges mal muranggang mansapel madat muy lol nga sera ka ra ngidil il suam al ngosuka mol mutan sa paril helper ka fill ra application ra loaner ka ma ngul tintal som museset ngun masangga melong simra kala teng war kami. If you have email, how can they contact you?
Warabang ka 587-6327 email address nga ka ngirmeriil@ndbp.com. Business hours rabang ka 9 o'clock na tuta wal mo 3 o'clock na ita sales.
Monday to Friday.
Monday to Friday. El albuy leng anniversary rabang ka 24.
Wow.
Ending fall on ra Tuesday may gi mga simmer sale 27 al Friday.
Oh, okay. Namutela ra ka panga. How many years?
Is it 40?
Wow, that long? 40 plus?
How old
When she
is
wasn't
NDBP?
born yet.
You joined on the first day when it was incorporated, didn't you?
Me?
I think she wasn't born at that time.
It's 43 too.
1994 was when it was established.
Oh, when we became independent.
Not 83, 94. Okay.
See?
Need to
You
improve the training.
No, it's good. Thank you. So I'll give it to you, CEO, so you can wrap up our talk show.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for inviting us to come. It's been a great conversation. I hope I've been able to explain in terms that are easy to understand a little bit about this loan, hopefully the benefits that it will bring to Palau and the work that we're doing. And I hope this is just an ongoing conversation that we have. It shouldn't end here. Hopefully we can give updates to show progress and to just let people know what it is that we're doing behind the four walls up in Arai.
Yeah. And thank you so much for coming. I mean, I think this was a very productive and informal talk show. And I hope this won't be your last. Please come anytime, or not you, but your staff is more than welcome to come and share the new products in the future that you'll be launching. And hopefully by then you'll be collecting deposits. So 350 million can stay in Palau and we can use it to develop Palau.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yes.
Wouldn't that be nice?
And hopefully by then you're still with us.
I hope so too, but that's up to you and Palau at the board.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
CEO.
Thank
Yeah, maraming salamat, Ngirmeriil.
That's
Komral
all right.
masaw lal gukmlo sa pamilya banggetar el altutaw. Katolingit tulwa se bom kargik lo mamakal, maomamakal rataw mapaluk. Ego mal masalul pangamamer el alsil, siya Dios lolmom, lo maknal tangat tergi darogoy, mabalwat pelaw, ego mal masulang.